One just over there, Ian. Perfect. Good cast. Welcome, everybody, to the New Fly Fisher. I'm your host, Colin McEwen. In today's show, I'm here with Ian James, author of Fumbling with a Fly Rod, and we're going to be talking about how to catch fish, specifically trout, in low water conditions. These are really extreme fly fishing conditions, the ones we all hate, where the water's low, it's really clear, and sometimes we have bright skies. Ian's got some great tactics and strategies worked out to catch brown trout, rainbows, and other species in these conditions. I think you're going to find it really fascinating. It's going to be a great show. Stay with us. There he came up again right over there. See him? The New Fly Fisher is sponsored by the Atlantic Salmon Federation, Bank of Montreal MasterCard, Ducks Unlimited, Canada's conservation company, Teton Fly Reels, Hodgman Outdoor Products. The Grand River is a beautiful watershed that meanders through some of the most heavily populated areas of Canada. 30 years ago, the Grand was in serious trouble due to pollution, agriculture, urban encroachment, and a host of other human activities. Thanks to the efforts of countless concerned citizens and new stringent environmental legislation, the Grand has rebounded and is now a wondrous fishery and vibrant ecosystem. Ian James is the author of the best-selling book, Fumbling with a Fly Rod. Fumbling is an informative and humorous collection of short stories, and I strongly recommend you add it to your list of must-read books. A professional guide and fly tyer, Ian is an incredibly knowledgeable and apt angler. He's a wonderful person to spend a day on the water with, and I was really thrilled to be here on the famous Grand River with him. Ian, as you clean a weed off your fly there, I think it's important to note, as I said in the opening, I mean, these are really extreme conditions. Very low water, very clear, and these little bucktails are perfect for this, right?
Absolutely, dead on. Just now, just to fill you in, we haven't had any rain here in 8 weeks. And this is the lowest the water's been in probably about 50 years, 60 years.
Really?
So it's pretty tough sledding.
Now, the water temperature, actually, I was told yesterday, is actually good, though, despite the fact it's low water. So we're not going to stress any fish we catch unduly.
No, there's a lot of little springs and stuff come in here. So that's why we're down here. Further down the river, yes, you can't fish it, it's too warm. And further up, it's quite warm as well, but there's a lot of seepage of cold water that comes in through here, and that's why we're fishing here. But it's tough sledding. I mean, this area gets pounded quite heavily by anglers. We've had some people walk right through the pool as we were setting up today. The water's low, it's clear, the fish are spooky, and if we can pick 3 or 4 of them, we'll be doing quite well. But as you were saying, it's always the type of situation that most fly fishermen fear is trying to catch trout in very low, clear water.
Now, that's what, as we were speaking about earlier, everybody thinks, right, dry flies, emergers, and this is so different, this is so radically different from what people would expect using small streamers, a little shot above it, and stripping it through the tongues of pools and edges of riffles, as we were doing earlier, to bring the fish to the fly.
Yeah, what happens is that when the water drops down, I mean, although there's lots of insects for them, it's much like eating chocolate bars. They can be eating chocolate bars all day long. And if you come in and you throw in a bucket of chicken or a big hamburger, they're going to go after that far more than the chocolate bars. And that's what we're doing with the mineral imitation. You want to give them something that's big and meaty, and you want to make it move quickly so they don't have time to think about it. And even in low water, they'll still take a smack at it. And it's the same for brown trout, Atlantic salmon, bass, pike. Well, not so much pike because they're big and nasty anyway. But it really works. Hopefully we'll prove that today. What we're going to be doing is using a streamer fly, a small bucktail about a size number 8, and throwing it into the pools and riffles. As you can see, I'm standing in very shallow water. It's hardly over my ankles. And the pools that we're fishing are maybe only 2 to 3 feet deep, but that's where the brown trout have to hang out. If they hang out in this stuff, they're perfect prey for ospreys, bald eagles, stuff like that. They like to sit in the shadows. Basically, if you find some shadow or some dark colored water, that's where the fish are going to be. Hopefully by the end of today's show, you'll see that. So all I'm going to do is take my bucktail. It happens to be a little Thunder Creek style black-nosed dace. Throw it into the deeper, darker pockets, and maybe we'll get a few fish. Now the retrieve for this little fly is very, very fast. Because the water's clear, if we go slowly, the fish can pick it up and they'll refuse the fly. These are fish that have been fished pretty hard over the summer because the water's low and it's clear, and this stretch of river gets a lot of angling pressure. So the plan is we chuck this out, strip it back across the current as fast as humanly possible, and maybe we'll be able to drag a fish or two out of here. Missed them. Nothing for 2. So as you can see, the techniques works, but I'm just a little bit slow on setting the hook. There he is, little guy. I think it's a chub. Nope, tiny little brown trout. Now I just happen to know that there are fish in here that are much, much bigger than this. He's just a baby, stocked this year probably. But you can see that the technique works quite well. What I've done here is I've worked close in. So now what I'm going to do is just extend. Oh, there's one coming right across that boulder. Sometimes if you're lucky, because the water's shallow, if they're moving from one little pool to the next, you can see them scoot across the top of the rocks. The rocks look white. You see this little shape, so it gives you an idea. There's Listen. Gives you an idea of where the fish are. So at least you might not be able to cast to him, but at least you know where he went. Oh, there he is again. That's twice he came up and looked at this. Oh, you rascal. There we go. That's it, right there. There's a little guy in there. It might be a chub, and he's just pounding the snot out of this. He's giving this thing more hits than the mafia, but he's just not taking it. He's just, oh, there he is again.
Ian, could you describe the setup that we're using today? Because I'm using a 5-weight. What are you using, a 5 as well?
I got a 5-weight on here, but I've got a very long leader. It's about 12-foot mark. And all I've done to set it up was I tied on some 6-pound fire line, because the bite detection is absolutely superb. And that's about 8 feet, 9 feet long. And then on the end of that, I've just tied on a piece of clear mono. I use Drennan. I've always used it. It's good stuff. So whatever monofilament you use or your leader material, and just tied that straight onto the fire line.
What size is that, or test?
4 pound, 6 pound. The water's clear. I mean, if you're using the fluorocarbon stuff, you might get away with 6, but I'm down to 4 pound here because I know the fish can see it. You know, it's just a no-brainer for that.
But with a quick-moving fly like this, they don't have a lot of chance to think about it. They strike or they don't, right?
That's it. They take a look at it and it's whack. What you're really hoping for is that all they see is the fly, that they don't see the leader or anything else, or even the fly line. Now, the fly just drifts across the top of them. They see it, they react to it, bang, you have them. That's the idea behind it. Well, I think we might have spooked them all out of here because it's low water and they're fished fairly hard. So usually, once you go through the pool once, if you're lucky, you can rest it. If not, you just have to go back to another location or let it sit for about an hour before you can refish it. And again, it really wouldn't matter if we switched to nymphs or dry flies or stuff like that. It wouldn't be as effective as fishing the Thunder Creek style minnow through these runs or along the edges. Your tendency when you see this is to fish a nymph on the bottom, but it really isn't a very effective way of getting them out of here. And it doesn't matter if it's stocked browns the way we're fishing here on the Grand, wild brown trout that haven't been stocked for a couple of generations, rainbows or steelhead. When the water's low and clear and it's getting bright and sunny, they're pretty spooky. So your best bet is to fish a minnow fly as fast as you can, and it usually just triggers that hit. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the fast stuff. The slow stuff just isn't getting a hit at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean,
but that's important though, actually, to note. That's something you talked to me about before on the car on the way here. That you have to vary the retrieve. Like you said, start quick and that, but you got to find out, how passive or active the fish are, right?
That's right. Sometimes, and it's really odd because a lot of lads, women, when they're fly fishing, they've hit on a retrieve that works, and they may get 2 or 3 fish a day, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they experiment a little bit, quite often you can find a retrieve that will produce more hits. But most anglers never do that because it's like, well, I've always caught fish on a Dexter, so you keep fishing a Dexter, whereas a Mickey Finn might produce more fish for you, but you never take that chance because you know the fly that you have will at least produce 1 or 2 fish for you through the day. So you never think about changing.
Varying the speed of your retrieve is key to success when fly fishing with small streamers or even large ones. From rapid line pulls to short and erratic jerk strips, you must experiment until you find the one that will trigger large trout to instinctively strike. Remember, large trout are usually the alpha feeders in their system. A helpless fish that is struggling will bring out the predator or aggressor in any large fish that is either hungry or instinctively protecting its territory, and this is applicable to all species. Like in small stream or creek fishing, low water conditions demand that you take certain precautions in order to prevent spooking the fish. Wear clothing that will blend with the surrounding topography or vegetation. Move slowly and cautiously. Avoid splashy foot movements that will put vibrations through a pool, thus alerting fish of your presence. The key is taking your time and cautiously moving into casting positions.
Again, you can see the fly, so it's tough to get a hit. Just maybe another 3 feet down, you can see those little boulders, and there's that nice little pocket right in the middle.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Where that leaf is floating. You can see the submerged leaf? Yeah, that's it, right there. Faster. That's it. Make them want the fly. It's like a dog. Like when if you put your dinner out for the dog and he doesn't go for it straight away, something's wrong, right?
Well, we're obviously appealing to their aggression.
Yep.
And they don't have time to think about it and look at it.
It's like, wham, I can take it or I'm not going to take it. And if it's moving like crazy, fools them into thinking that something's getting away from them.
Yeah.
And they don't want their buddy further down the river to get that food. You know, when they're hungry, they just can't phone up and get a hamburger or get a pizza delivered. They got to be right on top of it. That's it, faster. That's it, Colin.
Okay. Now you want me to put one right over here again?
Try it
just
again.
in case?
Yep, just that one guy that we missed. Ooh, the rascal.
Should be one right in there.
Good, you're getting on top of the fly quickly.
Okay.
Of fresh water.
Want me to put one over there in that little run?
Yep, there should be one kicking around in there someplace. There you are.
Well, that was cued nicely. He was right where he was supposed to be.
Supposed to be sitting. They have to sit there. It's darker colored water, and there's no other place they can sit.
Here, I just don't like the rocks. You want to put the net on him, or let me split it?
You can grab him? Yeah.
Not real big, but it won't injure him.
Not a big fish. But if you think about it, low water, you know, we're lucky to be getting anything.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would just think it'd be dry flies or nymphs.
Dry flies or nymphs or something like that.
And that's not the case.
No.
Let me just get this. Now we've gone completely barbless, and I think it's important for people to understand that's a beautiful little brown.
Not bad at all. Maybe a 2-year-old stocky or something like that, but again, we've got some fast water. They're not in the fast water where you think they would be. They're just in the little pockets and little drop-offs.
In low water, when trying to locate fish, look for current breaks behind rocks or sunken timber. The tails and seams are riffles and small pockets or holes that will provide protection from predators. Additionally, you can often find large trout or other species near overhanging bushes, in the shadows of trees, in undercut banks, and often near structures such as fallen trees. The key is that often shallow and unlikely looking holding water will in fact harbor large fish in certain conditions.
Just fishing, trying to drop the fly in the little dark pockets, or just strip it across. Oh, we refused it. You rascal, that's a decent fish too. That's 3 times he's came up to this. And he's turned away. Twice I've hit him, and he turned away on that one. What I'm doing here is, again, I'm just in sort of a deeper pocket. And there's just a few little drop-offs out here. They're right in behind the boulders. They're only little areas, maybe 2 feet by 2 feet, 3 feet by 3 feet, and they fall off to about 2 feet deep. And I just can't see the bottom, and I know that's where the fish are. So what I'm trying to do is make a couple of duff casts close in to work the fly out, and then just try to very accurately drop it into the dark water. I know that if I can get it in there, there's a very good chance I'm going to pick up another fish. I spooked out. I hit one there about 2 pounds. I hit him about twice. 3 times I pricked him. And I just watched him swim away, so chances of getting him are slim to none. Usually you'll find if you prick the fish, that's you done. You're never going to get him.
When fly fishing in low water, you must often move quite a bit in order to locate aggressive fish. We moved upriver, and Ian quickly found some trout that were feeding.
As you suggested, we take off the black-nosed dace, and I went with one of those little foam patterns that I came up with, and just fishing it right on the surface. Again, we saw him come up a couple of times, so we knew he was feeding right near the surface, and that nice little foam fly just looks like a wounded minnow sitting right on the surface, and he came up and he whacked it. It's a neat way of fooling them, but again, look at the conditions. We're just about to get a thunderstorm, so it's a good little fly. Now, he's not a big fish, but he's keen, you know. And hopefully you'll see this. It's right on the tip of his mouth, right on his snout probably. Small fish, but kind of pretty. What happened was we saw this fish coming up a few times. He was taking something off the surface. Colin suggested that we switch from using a black-nosed dace to one of the foam flies right in the surface.
There he goes.
So there he goes.
So let's just have a look at the rig.
Back in the UK, they use a lot of these patterns, and when the minnows are feeding, are being hammered by the stockies and stuff in the reservoirs. Not too many people on this side of the pond fish this type of fly, but it's very simple to construct. It's just a styrofoam body and a squirrel tail, back and tail, and a little bit of red flashaboo under the end there, so it looks like a wounded minnow. We've used it for smallmouth, pike, white perch, white bass, crappies, what else? Guys have used them for fall fish, bull trout, out on the west coast and stuff, through Alberta. They've used it on the Bow River, and some of the guys have even used them for Atlantic salmon by skipping them right in the surface on the east coast instead of maybe using a bomber. That's how it
Good
goes.
job. Let's go.
Excellent.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. Ian showed us some great strategies and tactics for catching fish in low water conditions. We caught a few fish, and given the situation, I think we did really well. I know you can use these in your home waters and do really great. If you want to learn more about our series and some of the flies we used today, please go to our website at www.thenewflyfisher.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
The New Fly Fisher is sponsored by the Atlantic Salmon Federation Bank of Montreal MasterCard, Ducks Unlimited, Canada's conservation company, Teton Fly Reels, Hodgman Outdoor Products.